G'day guys and gal, Warhammer 40k has some of the nastiest viruses, diseases and plagues in all of sci-fi, and not all of them come from magic or come from Nurgle. However, there is one particularly nasty one called the Obliterator Virus. No, it isn't undercooked green chicken curry, but it will still obliterate your asshole. The virus is a lot deeper and more mysterious than just a bad Hulk serum that turns traitorous Astartes into abominations. It has multiple stages, some of which are actually a bit of fun, as well as mostly unknown origins, although we do know it has somewhat of a deep connection to the Iron Warriors, which all up makes this an interesting lore video. Before we get started, the sale of Peter Turbo has come to a close. Is what I'd say if I got obliterated in the ass like some bitch. Nah, we're doing an extension until the end of this week. In between the sales staying steady, a lot of you guys asking for it to stay online for a little bit longer to wait for your paycheck, and the team handling the logistics well, I thought why not give you guys a small extension to pick up the coolest mini of 2026. For those that don't know, or just need a bit of a slap on the ass to get them over the line, I spent almost a year conceptualizing, producing, and now launching Peter Turbo. The Mad Lad comes in 3 different scales: tabletop for your wargaming needs, which yes, does come with a 100mm base; art scale for those that want larger details for painting, perfect for painting competitions; and titanic scale for those that want to slay God and have a titan-sized gigachad. You can even get him pre-painted if you don't want to paint him yourself. This is your last chance. I will not be doing any more promos or reminders about Peter Turbo. As for the painting competition, I'll be announcing the winners early next week, so the end of the month, and giving away over $20,000 in prizes. So there is still some time to enter, and we've actually gotten a few pretty insane late game entries, including a very cool diorama, so I'm keen as hell to show you guys that next week. Link to everything is below. Today we'll go over the Obliterator Virus, its origins, what it does, and how dangerous it actually is. Let's get into it. When the traitors lost the heresy and fled back to the Eye of Terror, they decided that sometimes science is more of an art, thus begun mashing formulas with the warp and seeing what would happen. Bad things often came of this, however bad is a subjective term. If you wanted to create a virus that turned warriors into gigantic horrors with the power of a dreadnought, then it would be considered quite a successful experiment. However, the origins of the Obliterator Virus are quite mysterious. As we know for certain, it did not come from Nurgle. If anything, Nurgle hates it, and you cannot even field obliterators in Death Guard armies. While the lore hasn't exactly told us where the virus came from, there are a few solid leading theories. Firstly, during the heresy, when Perturabo was looking for Angron to bring him back into the war effort, he ended up on a Dark Mechanicum Forge world that was housing a demon. The demon decided to possess an Iron Warrior's dreadnought and turned him into what is widely considered to be the first obliterator. However, he kind of wasn't. See, obliterators are not dreadnoughts that get corrupted. Those are called hellbrutes. Likewise, obliterators are not a merging of mortal and demon. They are mortals who get infected with the Obliterator Virus. What I do think this was the inspiration for obliterators. See, after the heresy, Perturabo wanted to use the warp to create weapons and even turn himself into a living weapon. He would have seen the power of this demonic dreadnought and sought to harness it. In true Perty fashion, he would have wanted to do this without just summoning demons and possessing his warriors, as that is a capitulation to the warp and the chaos gods. I mean, that's the kind of retarded shit a wordbearer would do. Instead, if he was able to manufacture a virus to do it without the help from demons, it would tick his box of using the warp as a weapon without having to jerk it off too bad. Other theories indicate that Fabius Bile had a hand in the creation of the Obliterator Virus, which is pretty par for the course for that dude. I would say that Perturabo worked alongside Fabius to create the virus. It's right up the Clone Lord's alley, and the Iron Warriors have a special aptitude for the virus, knowing how to spread it easily, with the Iron Warriors obliterators often considered superior to other obliterators. And yeah, I'm sure Vashtor was involved as well somehow. But what actually is an obliterator? Well, an obliterator is one term of a few used for those who have been infected with the Obliterator Virus. A mutilator, for example, is another type of unit that has reached the late stage of the virus, however prefers to use melee weapons instead of range weapons. Here is how it works. The first stage is that you're infected with the virus. You don't know you are, you don't look or feel different, and you can actually spread the virus to others. The second stage is kind of cool. You basically just find guns really epic and gain unusual talent and aptitude for their use. Stage 3 is where it becomes obvious, as guns will begin to merge to you if you hold them too long, and you will discover that your body produces ammunition for any gun you're holding for too long. Stage 4 and onwards is when it gets grim. Your sanity starts slipping, guns and armor merge with you and can no longer be removed, and your armor can now repair itself. Stage 5, you can absorb weapons and then deploy them at will. Stage 6 to 9 is more or less the same, with stage 6 being a smaller, weaker, less insane obliterator, and stage 9 being a full-on obliterator juggernaut like what we see on the tabletop. To go through all 9 stages is a very time-consuming process, and the odds of survival are very low. This is why you only really see Space Marine obliterators in the lore. When normal people are infected, their bodies and minds often give out, meaning meaning they die early in the stages, or they just go so insane that they get put down as they become too useless. Only a Space Marine's mental fortitude and body can properly handle the virus, although there are some rare exceptions where mortals manage to make it to the end. Some Space Marines will embrace the virus willingly, quickly going through the stages and becoming extremely deadly obliterators, which was the original design of Perturabo. There are even theories that Perturabo himself is a large obliterator demon. Scaling the power of an obliterator is hard as they are so diverse, but they do pack a serious punch. They are massively bulked up from normal Space Marines and hit way harder while being way more durable. However, they also aren't these mindless monsters like Chaos Spawn. They can still take orders and display combat intelligence. For example, when the Lion re-entered the setting, he had no sword or shield, only his power armor. Now, Primarchs are pretty good at just punching people to death. I mean, fuck, the Lion has punched off Space Marine heads before in fits of rage. However, when faced with two obliterators, he was having a shit one, getting smacked around and even got punched through a wall. Now, yes, he was a bit rusty as he had been lying down for 10,000 years, but it does show the obliterators are no joke. Now, the Lion would be given his new sword by the Emperor during this fight, at which point it ended almost instantly as he carved the obliterators apart. But throwing hands with a Primarch, even an unarmed one, is hectic. Obliterators are used sparingly by warbands and even legions, as the amount of time and effort it takes to cultivate an infected obliterator to go through all 9 stages and come out as an asset is a lot. Not to mention, you now have to handle your obliterators and not get infected yourself, so storing them is also a challenge, which is why we don't see much of them and why they punch well above their weight. Now, technically anything organic can be infected with the Obliterator virus. It's just not a great idea to infect many things beyond Space Marines. However, the Iron Warriors had a pretty fucking insane idea. They thought Tyranid bioships were cool, fair enough, but not something you can just hijack, also fair enough. Unless, of course, you infect it with the Obliterator virus. The Iron Warriors managed to capture and infect a hive ship's brain with the virus, which severed its link to the hive mind and made it mutate into an actually very effective warship. Like, yeah, it was done for the memes, but the outcome was this biological living weapon under the Iron Warriors' direct command, the Obliterator virus overriding and ejecting the hive mind. The point I'm making is that this is an extremely powerful, transcendent virus that would likely be able to overwrite most things. In a head-to-head, I honestly think it would overpower Nurgle's rot, another top-tier war-based disease. Are there any other outcomes to the virus other than becoming an obliterator or a mutilator? Well, not really, beyond just becoming a pile of warped flesh that begs for death as it screams its insanity. As I said, it's a very difficult process to get anything useful from the virus. An interesting note though, mutilators are specified to have been Terminator Space Marines before they were turned into melee-focused mutilators, whereas the Obliterators are often said to have been Tech Marines before their infection, so it seems like you need a specific kind of Space Marine to have a good chance of success. Sacrificing a Chaos Terminator, which are quite rare these days, or a Chaos Tech Marine, which is even rarer, is a pretty big deal for Chaos warbands, especially since the success chance for a viable Obliterator is low, again illustrating how special Obliterators are. But how do you actually get infected? Well, it does kinda act like a normal virus, with bodily fluids being its main source of transmission. No, that doesn't mean you should go try fucking Obliterator. It's more so if you fight one and you cut each other up a bit, there's a chance it will infect you. Likewise, if it shanks you but you survive, then you will also likely get infected. If you're aware you're infected and don't want to be an Obliterator, the process will be slow and difficult and will end badly. But you are unlikely to pass it on. If you embrace it, the chances of survival is higher and the process will be more rapid. In regards to a cure, there is a very effective cure that is widely used. It is called a bolt shell to the brain. As far as I've read, there have been 0 cases of the virus being cured and the afflicted person surviving. In theory, stage 1 or even stage 2 could be curable. Maybe if they get cum blasted with hymns and wax while a Sister of Silence jerks them off and a tech priest pumps them full of oil taken directly from a custodian's pecs, but until I see that in the lore, that's just my headcanon. Now, with how hard Obliterators are to cultivate, they have been quite rare in the lore. However, with the recent Obliterator and Mutilator model refreshes, alongside the Iron Warriors range refresh, they seem to be coming to the forefront as a new horror the Imperium will have to contend with on a more frequent basis. Basically, what I'm saying is that it's a great fucking time to pick up a Peter Turbo. If you enjoy the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up Peter Turbo in any of the 3 scales. This is your last chance to pick him up before he's gone for good, don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more Obliterated content. Join the Discord for more memes. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.